Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. So we are here for an enlightening and energetic session. So let's start with a good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. It's my absolute honor to stand in front of you in this afternoon. Much anticipated fireside chat and an interactive Q&A session. An event that promises to enlighten, inspire, expand our understanding of the intricate interplay between global forces and local markets. Today, we are privileged to have with us none other than Mr. Imtiaz Buhardeen, a veteran investor and a name synonymous with sharp insights and success in the world of investment. Prepare to gain unparalleled perspectives as we delve into how global trends shape our local business landscapes. I am Ms Ameena Ziauddin, an internationally certified employee trainer, a performance coach, and an award-winning motivational speaker. It is my privilege to serve as your host for this afternoon's event. Few house rules. Let's fill up the front chairs. Kindly set your mobile phones into silent mode. And especially during the interactive Q&A session, when you want to post a question, you may raise your hands and the moderator will give you the chance. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka Mata, is a powerful symbol of nation's unity and independence. The anthem's lyrics express deep reverence for the island's nature and its beauty, culture, the sacrifices made for freedom. Set to a stirring melody, it resonates with the values of patriotism, harmony, and collective spirit of Sri Lankan people. To officially extend a warm welcome to today's distinguished gathering, it's my privilege to invite Dr. Harun, who is a family physician by profession. He is the chairman of Lucky Industries, and he is also a member of Executive Committee of myBIZ. Also, he will address and let you know what exactly myBIZ is about. Thank you very much. Let's welcome Dr. Harun.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to this fireside chat by a very prominent market guru, Mr. Imtiaz Buhardeen, and also moderated by no less important industry leader, madam. It's only 2 weeks ago that Sri Lanka, public of Sri Lanka, elected this present government, and we are looking forward for a lot of policy changes and market. There will be changes in the market too. This will impact the share market too. We will pick up a lot of insights as we go down in this fireside chat. Also, I think we were expecting Mr. Fawzul Hamid. I think he is not here. Maybe he should be coming any moment. We also welcome our sponsors for this program, without whose support it would not have been seen the light of the day. Also, we are thankful for the venue organizers, the officials of Port City, to let us use this venue for this program. I'm happy to see a couple who started their company decades ago, and this year they are celebrating their 30th anniversary, Ms Ziauddin of Norfolk. We also welcome Mr. Zalmi of Edinburgh, and Mr. Nabhan Akil of Limra Holdings. I think they are here. And welcome each one of you, without whom this program would not have been possible. I once again thank all of you for taking the time to attend this business talk, braving the inclement weather which was forecasted. We pray that the weather becomes better and the depression moves away from these oceans, and Sri Lanka be free of the calamity. Before I conclude, I wish to say a few words about myBIZ. myBIZ was the brainchild of a few like-minded businessmen and professionals. It was formed with the aim of becoming a catalyst in the business community, implement good governance, together with inculcation good business ethics. We Muslims are entrepreneurs, born entrepreneurs. Only thing we lack is good governance and business ethics. If we can formulate that, I think we'll do very much better in our businesses. myBIZ is a non-profit organization run by executive committee. myBIZ has 4 business programs. Business talk, such as this, which is one of them. We also have a networking platform besides programs on startups and business investments. And we have a trade and chamber services. It was this month, 6 years ago, that myBIZ was incorporated as a company limited by guarantee. We have survived the COVID and financial crisis. Here, I forget to welcome Mr. Riaz Milar, who had been supporting myBIZ from the inception before it was incorporated. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Once again, I thank all of you all for being part of us and waiting for a enterprising evening today. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Port City Colombo is a cutting-edge, multi-billion-dollar development project transforming the waterfront of Sri Lanka's commercial capital into a modern, sustainable city. Positioned as a global financial and commercial hub, we are truly great to be here today, and the Port City Colombo is our venue partner. With great pleasure, let me invite Senior Manager Investment Promotions at Port City, Thasim Rafi. Thasim Rafi is a visiting lecturer at University of Sri Javardhanapura and has worked for 2 of the big 4 professional firms including PwC and Deloitte. He worked several organizations in UK, including Bank of America and CMS McKinsey's. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Thasim Rafi.
So that was the video of Port City. Hope you liked it. So that gives you a comprehensive understanding of the infrastructure and where we are at the moment. So basically, to give you an understanding, 100% of the infrastructure at Port City is complete. So we've reclaimed the land. So in total, Port City is 269 hectares of land. That's around 700 acres of land which we have reclaimed. Our company, so just give an overall understanding about Port City. Port City is Sri Lanka's largest public-private partnership between the government of Sri Lanka and China Harbour Engineering Corporation, which is our company. So Czech is a direct subsidiary of CCCC, China Communication Construction Company, which is a Fortune 500 company with a revenue of $179 million annually. So our company, Port City, is a direct PPP, public-private partnership between the government and Czech. So what we have done is our company has so far reclaimed 269 hectares of land, and we invested $1.4 billion so far in the reclamation. So as you go around, you can see that we've done 100% of the work. And also one more point is in Asia, after Singapore, we're the only city which will have all the pipes, canals, everything underground. So we've gone to that level of infrastructure. So to give you more understanding, It's a special South Asia Special Economic Zone, new financial center, and a global trading hub. And like I said, 269 hectares of reclaimed land. And one point I want to highlight is, out of the 279 hectares, we have 91 hectares, almost 30% of the land, which will go for public space and greenery. So we are taking green spaces very seriously. And also we've gone to an extent where if a builder builds according to green building standards, we give 5% land free of charge. So we're taking ESG very seriously. It's a brand new city, it's going to be a green city. So furthermore, we have 5 key districts inside Port City, which I will show you on other slides. Total land area is 6.4 million square meters, and we have 101 hectares of swimming lagoon. What that means is that even though we're surrounded by the ocean on all 3 sides, we'll be having more waterways and canals, which will make sure that, for example, as you can see in the model, if you have a villa, you can park your yacht, etc., straight into your villa. So we're emphasizing, and we've got 101 hectares of swimming lagoon space as well. Then as we go further down, you can see we've got $15 billion of investment, which we are predicting in the next couple of decades. So as you know, for any government, foreign direct investment is crucial. So we are looking at $15 billion coming in the next couple of decades. That's an economic impact assessment done by PwC. So at that time, I was part of the PwC team as well. So we predicted $15 billion coming into Sri Lanka. And also one more point is, once that comes in, once all the FDI comes in, we're expecting GDP per capita to go up by $650 per person. So that's the level of impact it's going to have on the Sri Lankan economy. And also, we're expecting balance of payments to go up by $6 billion, and we're expecting the government to gain by $2 billion land and lease sales. So we're expecting a lot of impact to Sri Lankan government as a result, to Sri Lanka as a whole as a result of Port City. Population will have 270,000 people once completed, and we'll be creating 140,000 jobs in total. So we'll be having FDI, and 140,000 jobs will be created once Port City is complete. Slide. So furthermore, as you can see, we can have a look around, but like I mentioned, our infrastructure is 100% done. As you can see here, these are very recent photos. You can see the roads, bridges, canals, and all the pipelines, everything on the bottom. As you can see, everything is underground. So we've got world-class infrastructure. As you further check, our company is the world's largest dredging company. So we have expert infrastructure, and so far we have done all the infrastructure. And furthermore, we'll be having power, water, and 2 telecom operators. Dialog and Sri Lanka Telecom will be our telecom operators, and everything will be underground. And just to give a further understanding, globally we are being accepted. So I was in Saudi for the last 5 days, and I was in Dubai. So even when I speak to a lot of Middle East investors, they think that with the infrastructure, and Czech is doing a great job in the Middle East, this could be a key catch for them. So I will further highlight on how South Asia could be important. Further down. Sorry. So further down. Yeah, that's okay. So like I was saying, I explained about the infrastructure of Port City. Now I'd like to come to the regulatory framework, which is very important. So the Port City Commission is the single window investment facilitator for Port City. So what I want to highlight is, as you know, FDI into South Asia is very difficult. On ease of doing business, Sri Lanka is 144 in the world. But what we want to do is we've come up with a single window investment facilitator called the Port City Commission. Mr. Riaz Milur is in the board. So what we are trying to do is, our whole purpose is to have a free special economic zone and make it easy for businesses to operate. Now the Port City Commission in 2021, Act number 11 in the Parliament was passed, making the Port City Commission the single window investment facilitator. Whether it be a $1,000 investment or a $100 million investment, you have to get a license called the AP license, an authorized person's license, further upgraded to a BSI license, which is of strategic importance. Now, I'd like to highlight about how Port City Commission can help you do business in 3 ways: risk control, ease of doing business, and incentives. So I'd like to start off with risk control. Risk control, investment protection. Now, firstly, when you come to investments, we're looking at investments of $100 million to our top investment is $1.4 billion for our project, for our integrated resort project. The key questions investors ask is our investment secure? For that answer, we got a Parliament Act passed, which we have a special investment protection clause passed by the Parliament guaranteeing your investment, and the government is guaranteeing the investments that comes into the Port City. Furthermore, we're economically ring-fenced. What we mean by that is only 16 foreign designated currencies are allowed to operate inside the Port City. We don't have local currency, especially because since we want to protect from local currency volatility, And for that, we have 16 foreign designated currencies, the USD, Great British Pound, Euro, the INR. And I was in Dubai, they asked me, you don't have the AED. But the AED is pegged to the dollar, so that is not playing a significant amount, but very soon we'll be having other foreign currencies coming in as well. So as we go further down, only foreign currency transactions can be done without any extra charges. 100% repatriation of funds is allowed inside the port city, and in any foreign currency you want. For example, when I was in India, they asked the question of hedging. For example, you can bring INR into port city, and you can take it out in USD without any hedging costs. That's a key factor that investors look into as well, which we have sorted. And then when we come further down, I'd like to show ease of doing business. In terms of ease of doing business, we abide with all international regulatory framework, with all the international bodies, and we have, most importantly, we have streamlined company administration. What that means is that most of the process in terms of getting a license is online, because we want less human interaction, and for that, the Port City Commission will do all the process, everything is online. And further, as you go down, you can see we have green channel visas for all employees. Whoever works inside the Port City gets a 5-year visa, a green channel visa for spouses and children. Another point I want to highlight is, if you can give me 2 minutes, I know somebody is looking at me, but if you look at green channel visas, in Colombo, I'm just saying mainland, I'm sorry, in Sri Lanka, we have only certain percentage of foreign employees can work. You can't have 100% foreign employees. Inside the port city, you can have 100% foreign employees working. Inside the port city, you can have 100% Sri Lankans working as well. And those people who work inside can have green channel visas of 5 years, and we have a golden paradise visa of 10 years for people who are working inside in terms of high-end investors. Then as you go further down, we have a dispute resolution center called a DRC. That's basically an arbitration center inside the port city to solve all commercial court cases. As you know, if you go to court in Sri Lanka, it's very difficult, but we have our own DRC center inside to solve arbitration cases inside the port city itself. And as we go further, the last point I want to highlight is, I spoke about risk control, ease of doing business, incentives, all businesses inside the port city, 25 years, no corporate tax, and a further 10 years, 50% concessionary tax. For example, if you're paying 30%, only 15% you have to pay for the further 10 years. So 25 years, no corporate tax, and all employees inside the port city, you get indefinite personal income tax without any number of years. So no personal income tax and no corporate tax for 25 years inside the port city, once registered as a BSI. So the last slide, which I will quickly show and round off, which is the slides which shows the number of businesses involved inside the port city. So the type of business who can register, as you can see, global economic centers, shipping and logistics in Sri Lanka is a major maritime hub. IT companies, we've got 140 companies registered so far. Out of that, almost 40% are IT companies, including Hexaware from India. And I'm talking with a Mumbai company called Datamatics, which is going to sign up pretty soon. We're getting a lot of interest from Indian companies coming inside with the tax incentives. Then IT companies, tourism and facilities, corporate HOs. And one point I want to highlight is, actually 2 months ago, we got the Offshore Banking License Act passed, gazetted in the parliament. That's going to make Port City an official offshore banking destination. So that's a key point which I want to highlight is the two components of offshore banking is you get 100% repatriation and only foreign currencies. So again, a lot of offshore banks can set up and that makes ease of doing business much better as well. Then we have other businesses there. So what I want to highlight in the last point is to get 25 years tax exemption and personal income tax, you have to qualify for 4 main criteria, which I'm showing here. Your company has to qualify for only one of these 4 criteria. One is your company has to show that you have $50 million revenue annually, or else, if you can't qualify for that, you can show that in the next 5 years, your company will employ 100 people to operate inside the port city. And if you cannot show that, the most easiest one for anyone who wants to set up a business as, for example, a subsidiary, you have to show $500,000 valuation for your company in the next 5 years. So Port City Commission will review your application, your BSI every year. And if you qualify for one of these criteria, you get the tax benefits I was talking about. So I was given 10 minutes by myBIZ, but thank you very much. I wanted half an hour. If I keep talking, I'll go on for 1 hour also. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And if you need any more details, I'm available, and my colleagues are over there who will share the business cards, and we look forward to getting you on board in Port City. And thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this event is possible in part because of our wonderful sponsors for this event. And we have ATG Glove Solutions is a global leader in designing, developing, and manufacturing high-performance work gloves that redefine comfort, durability, and functionality. ATG crafts gloves that are not just tools, but extensions of your hands, enhancing productivity while protecting what matters most. And then we have our sponsors. Vidulanka PLC is a leader in Sri Lanka's renewable energy sector, specializing in hydro, solar, and biomass projects. Committed to innovation and sustainability, the company drives energy solutions that empower a greener future. Vidulanka PLC, powering progress responsibly. And next we have our sponsor for this event is Norfolk Foods. Is a trusted provider of premium, fresh and flavored food products tailored to suit local tastes. With a commitment to quality and excellence, Norfolk Foods enriches lives with every bite, offering quality and safe food products. And incidentally, as already it was announced, Norfolk is celebrating 30 years in business. And I'm sure as a business community, we are gathered here and they owe a big round of applause. Please, all together. This afternoon, we are here for a journey into the hearts of commerce, innovation, and ever-evolving dynamics of stock market. It is my privilege to present you today's much-anticipated Fireside Chat titled Global Perspectives on the Local Market. This session promises to uncover invaluable insights at the crossroads of global trends and local opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, before I invite today's speakers and the moderator, how many of you have played boxing? Maybe not professional boxers. Okay. Thank you. In boxing, to avoid being punched, what can you do? Okay, slip aside, counter, yeah, and even you can jump out of the ring. So ladies and gentlemen, it works the same with stock market investments too. Before I invite today's speakers and moderator, let me introduce them first. Guiding this enlightening conversation, we have this remarkable personality known for her brilliance and poise, a dynamic voice in modern discourse. Ameena Ziauddin is the president of Norfolk Foods, a director of CP Norfolk India, chair of the Young Directors Forum of the Institute of Directors, vice president of Council for Business with Britain. She holds a bachelor's in manufacturing engineering and management and also a master's in food production management from University of Nottingham, UK. She holds a diploma in brand management from SLIM, a member of CIMA Middle East, South Asia, and North Africa Region Engagement Group, which provides insights into continent's professions and shape the association's global strategic plan. Wonderful, and she will be our moderator. And also, our distinguished speaker needs no introduction. He is a trailblazer in the investment world for his renowned strategies and unmatched expertise. Mr. Imtiaz Buhardeen is a seasoned businessman and investor. 40 years of expertise in international trade, finance, and real estate. Mr. Buhardeen is an alumnus of Royal College, founding chairman of Almas Group, having a diversified portfolio of investment spanning capital markets, real estate, power and energy, IT, plantations, and construction sectors. The group also constitutes a stock brokering arm, licensed and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. Passion for capital markets, significant contributions to the both Sri Lanka and international business. Mr. Buhardeen has a lifelong passion for capital markets. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming a veteran investor, Mr. Imtiaz Buhardeen, along with Ms Ameena Ziauddin, a vibrant and insightful moderator for this afternoon. Please, with a good round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, and thank you very much to myBIZ for the opportunity this afternoon, and it's excellent to see so many of you here. We were kind of worried about the weather that was over the last few days, but alhamdulillah, we've got clear skies today. So good afternoon, everyone, and you're here for obviously our fireside chat with Mr. Imtiaz. Just to set the tone, this is going to be quite a relaxed conversation. We're not going to go too much into technicalities. Obviously, you're here to hear his insights and his experience, and I'm hoping I can guide that conversation through. We will be taking questions in between, and I think the team will probably pause after a few questions and ask if the audience has any that they would like to ask. So just to start, I think most of the people here know you, but just to set the tone, how did you get into investing, and what are the key highlights of your career?
Thank you, Ameena. First, let me thank myBIZ for inviting me, giving me this opportunity to be in front of this distinguished guest. I can see a lot of big investors here, and they should be seated here. And also for Port City giving us this opportunity. And also I'd like to make a disclosure saying, and I'm also I'm an investor in the stock market. Most of my holdings are disclosed in the Colombo Stock Exchange through the top 20 shareholder list. So let me be straight about that. I don't think I want to talk too much on the individual stocks, but let me anyway give that disclosure. Yeah, how I started. So this happened while I was in schooling at Royal College. We used to play with friends, meet, and come to know about the parents, what they were doing. And one of my classmates' parent, came to know that he was an investor in the stock market at that time while we were studying. And I was a bit curiosity about what he was doing and came to what is about stock market and what investments he was doing. So that's how the interest came to me. And even today, that gentleman is one of the top investors since then up to now, having the major shareholder, is the major shareholder of the biggest company in Sri Lanka. That's how investment sometimes, for a long time, you have to be invested to make a good return. So with that, I started reading, and at that time, the market was very small in Sri Lanka. So I was one of the pioneers, I would say, from 1985, I started investing when the Colombo Stock Exchange started. I used to read a lot about the US market, and at one time I used to get down the Wall Street Journal, the paper I used to subscribe, and it used to come to me about 2 or 3 years, the physical paper itself, just to read about it and understand. So that's how initially I started about coming into the market, and since then, it was slow start because markets were small. I would say those days, even the turnover levels were about just 20 million a day. Compared to when we complain today with about 2-3 billion also, market turnovers are not enough. So that was our size of the market at that time. And since then, it has grown quite a lot, and we have come to this stage today.
You mentioned your friend's father who kind of inspired you to go in. Do you have any other mentors who were key figures for you in your career?
In the stock market, initially, it was him. Thereafter, I've seen other investors who have come and invested and made a good name, like big investors like even Damika Pereira. All right, he started, I think, early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I read his story, I think with about 25,000 rupees he started, and he wanted to test the market, what is stock market and all that. And since then, he has become one of the biggest investor, and not investor, I would say he's bought businesses. He runs a lot of listed companies. Then, like that, when Mr. Ishara Nanayakara, I think it was end of 90s, I think if I'm not mistaken, he bought Browns or LOC Group, I think at that time. And since then, he has also, it's like the second biggest company today. Yeah, other than that, I've been following like international players. I would call like a mentor, like I've been following him, was Warren Buffett, right? So I've been reading about him, learning about him, his trading styles, everything. So I would say, yeah. Yes.
So you did highlight about Mr. Dhamika Pereira. I mean, obviously, he started as what, 25,000 rupees, and now is a major porter of a lot of business in Sri Lanka. One advice give someone who's starting on, I mean, that's an inspiring story for anyone, right? If he didn't start off as a vinegar, eventually in the unit, what advice would we give someone is trying to start first off?
Yeah, so my advice will be anyone coming into the stock market to look at long term, and depending on your age, your capacity, you have to put a certain sizable amount for investing. I would say like whatever salary or income what you have, you allocate a certain amount for saving first before your expenses. Take it as a part of your expense, right? At least one or 10% will be good enough, and just start. And that can grow into a big investment if you take for a 25-year horizon. I would say like if you take compounding, they say the eighth wonder of the world. If you invest, let's say 100,000 rupees on a monthly basis, and if you get a return of 10%, in 25 years, that will be worth 225 million rupees. So we don't think that way, because you bring it down to even 10,000 rupees a month, that will be 22.5 million rupees. So, a lot of expenses we have, if you can cut down and start just investing, that can, when you are retiring, you have a sizable amount.
But I think that's part of what Buffett, I feel. Good convergent that way, you are quick returns by. So what you say is look for longer, right? And then that's something that a lot of maybe our generation is not looking into. We want something quick and fast. What do you think of the current market time of right now at the stock market? I mean, they are saying that things are quite fun right now. Do people wait? Do people act immediately? Or would your advice be?
So currently the stock market, now we are around 13,000, close to 13,200 levels at the SPI, that's the index. The highest that we have, all time we have hit is about 13,500. That was way back in January 2021. Since then, the crisis came and we came all the way down to 6,900 levels. There was a crash. And from there, we have come back now to this level. So if you take just before the election, initially there was a correction in the market. So I think lots of people were forecasting a NPP win, and they started selling in the market, right? But they didn't realize that, their policies that they will follow the same thing and there will be a continuity. Some people's prediction was right, but they started selling in the market and they have to come back into the market at a premium now. Because from day one of the NPP government winning the presidential election, I think the first 1 hour the market went down and thereafter it started picking up. So I would say about 1.5 months the market was down for about almost 2,500 points. There was a correction, expecting this result. But immediately after the win, the confidence was given. They continued with the IMF program. They kept some key officials like the central bank governor and the secretary to the treasury. And so they didn't make any major changes. So market likes no uncertainties. Yes. So with that, the market turned around and now it has almost gone up about 2,600 points since the presidential election.
I mean, that's also key indicator where people maybe don't get it wrong, but there's a lot of speculation, right, with what I was going to happen and the get to selling off. Which do you think what's happening now with Sri Lanka, with IMF? I mean, Sri Lanka has gone through so much, right? And I think people forget that. They focus on maybe the last few years, but we have been through a war, we've been through major political crises, financial crisis, etc., etc., etc. Do you think this is the worst that it's been and it'll get better? And what kind of confidence can you give to investors?
Yeah, I think this is the worst we have gone through. In my 35 to 40 year business career, I started, I was about 2-3 weeks back, I was invited as a chief guest to Royal College for Islamic Day. That time I was just looking at the students who were organizing everything. So I was just imagining how they will be in 20 years, 30 years, how they will be, whether they will be abroad or what their kind of a position they are going to be. So I'm from 83 batch. Although I'm 83, I just started business about a year before. So you can imagine from 83 was the first, the riots we went through. So the period that I came out of school, we have gone through all the worst situation. And today, not only me, I'm saying the people are quite resilient and they have come through all these real difficulties in the country. So I've gone through the 83 riots, then the 87, 88 period where insurgencies, then the 30-year civil war, then we saw the tsunami, the destruction that brought to the country. Thereafter, the constitutional crisis, with that the Easter attack, then we came to the pandemic, right? And again, the economic crisis. So all these good lessons that we have, with all that we have come back. So it's not easy for us to compare and say sometimes we are not gone as like Singapore or Dubai, or we are not gone to that potential, but we had all these things to deal with. So it's not an easy, like those countries. With all that, I would say we are done reasonably well, where we can do much better. And maybe this government has come on a mandate, with a very strong mandate, or with the first time I think I've seen like a 2/3 majority they have got. And one of the crises, there were a lot of, I've seen many first, all right, starting from the previous president being elected, a civil president, was not a politician who came into power. So that's the first that we saw. Then we saw he been ousted, like in Daragalia, that's the first time we have seen a president being chased off, right? Then also we have seen a president coming in with only a single seat, coming to parliament and becoming a president. So that's another first, right? And now we have seen a 3-member party becoming the president and getting the majority 2/3. So all this happening within just last 3-4 years, all this has happened. So hopefully this will be the last time. I think we are going to get it right. So also they are coming with, main thing is to deal with corruption. So that's one of the main thing that has been blocking our country from going forward. So if that can be controlled, and if they can complete the IMF program, I see sky is the limit for our country.
I mean, we always joke that Sri Lanka is a perfect case study for any risk management, right? Because you've got them every single risk imaginable. With that, I think, should we try to open the floor to any questions that anyone might have? There's questions. We get a note?
We talk of halal taste cuts. Which companies are how wicked about that too? Because being want to put it the companies it just stays. So how would you adjust to that?
So there are certain criteria for the whitelist. We call it a whitelist companies. There are about 285 companies listed in the stock exchange. So out of that, there were some whitelists were put out earlier, and that was, I would say, about 115 to 120 companies are qualified into the whitelist criteria. So if you go through the websites or if you go to some of the, at the moment there is, whitelist has been suspended because SEC has come up with a new set of rules and with the Sharia board, and they have come with their own standard. Earlier there were different standards were used. For instance, like our own company, we had a standard with 5 international standards, right? So, but now the SEC has come up with a new standard for Sri Lankan standard. So that will be implemented very soon. So it's in process, and so you will be able to follow that.
Inconstant and audits, to the borrowed safety, conventional borrowings. Such companies don't take in conventional borrowing.
Conventional borrowings are allowed up to 33%. So under the whitelist guidance, conventional borrowings can go up to 33% according to international Sharia board approvals. That's one of the criteria.
You did touch on quite briefly about how investors look at a regime change. Now, with the continuity, do you think things will get better for investors and there'll be more confidence?
Yeah, so the main thing is we were in the middle of a IMF program. We almost completed now 2 years, another 2 years to go on that. And we have just completed the 3rd review. So that has gone smoothly. Most of the performance, I think we have passed like without any issues, and some of these things, the parameters they had given, I think we have done really well. So, and I would say mostly 70-80% of the changes has to be done are already in the program, already happened. So the next 2 years, I won't see like much new taxes like kind of a thing coming or any big changes. So mostly already adopted, and the revenues are coming quite good now. So only the tax has to be broad-based, and that collection will have to happen. At the moment, the targets have been met easily. And another big area is the vehicle imports. So that was not there for the last 4 years. Hopefully from February for for private vehicles, it's going to be opened. So once that also comes, I think the revenue levels can easily, it'll be quite an easy thing for the government to get some income from that. So I don't see any difficulties. Of course, it's a difficult program, but this is, what I would say is like, a lot of people say why we didn't go to IMF on the right time in 2020. You can argue about that, but I would say it's a blessing in disguise, right? Because if you had gone at the right time, you would have just gone for another 17th program. They would have given us the money and certain things would have been said, we would have done, not done, and continued. It's like would have been a patch-up work. But this time we were forced, we came to a situation of balance of payment, there were no reserves, and plus we couldn't meet the foreign debts, we couldn't make payments. So with both problems, we went to IMF and they gave a difficult prescription, right? So, and now we have been following that very strictly, and now the earlier president also followed, the cabinet followed, and even the new government who have come in also are following that. That's because we can't change too much on that. And if you continue that one, I think it's going to be overall going to be good for the people and the country on a long term. But maybe in short term, yes, there are personal taxes have gone up, the cost of living has gone up, hardships are there. But I think eventually we'll come out very strong, like how India came out in 1990 after the reform program. They never went back to any IMF programs. Countries like South Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, all these countries have come out very well. So I feel this is the last time that we are going to the IMF, and if you continue this, we are going to have a 10-15 years of good growth for the country, and a lot of investors are going to come, and I see this Port City, right? Like this has taken about 10 years for the infrastructure and to get the parliament approval and all that. Now almost everything is done, right? So I think it's time to take off now.
That's my next question. And sorry, sir. Thank you for walking into the hackathon. What did you think about? Beyond these beautiful venues, right? I mean, we obviously have to ask, what do you think about Port City and the rest of the opportunities?
I'll tell from my personal experience. I lived in Singapore for 12 years. while living there, I've been doing a business in Malaysia. So I was one of the early investor in the Iskandar development program in Johor Bahru. All right, so that was in around 2005. At that time, this was much bigger than this kind of a model they had put up, and we went and saw that, and I believed it at that time, this will happen. But a lot of my friends back in Singapore, they said, no, Malaysians, they talk, they come up with fancy ideas, this is not going to take off, nothing is going to happen. They were very negative about it. But Alhamdulillah, we just went ahead, and I thought for myself, like, it's something good and something going to happen. And we were one of the early investors there, and in a project, we went and signed up for quite a big number of units. I would say almost 3/4 of the first phase of the projects we went and bought, and we went and marketed to overseas. So that gave a lot of confidence. So we came in the papers there, right? As like Singapore investor, we have come and bought and done all that. So I have seen from that time onwards how that Iskandar development progressed, right? From this kind of a model which was there, and within now last 20 years, I would say 100 or 110, more than 120% of what was there has happened. More than that was there. And apart from that, there was another project came during that period called the Forest City. That's little away in Johor, close to the port. I would say about 25 kilometers away from the main city. That's a $100 billion project from China. And that was like, I would say 5 times bigger than the Iskandar, the projects how they have done. And if you go now and see, almost 80-90% of everything is now completed on that. And we used to earlier we used to go and buy projects in a building like in Havelock City, 160, 180 units comes in a tower, right? We buy 25, 30 units and we market. So that's how we used to manage. But there was another project came called Country Garden. At one go, they put up 35 towers with 35 floors each, 7,000 units. And they just flooded the market. And it was like a huge thing. And, they sold it, went to China, and they had different scheme there. I think they got Chinese to invest. Now it's like kind of a ghost city. A lot of people are not staying there because it's all sold. People are in China. But they made an investment here. So I'm sure what we see here now today, if you come back in 5 years, 10 years time, because this is a project, as I said, like the, what do you call that other one close to the port, which is about 25 kilometers, 30 kilometers away. This is right in downtown, right in front of the presidential secretariat, right? You can see it from the golf face, you can see the whole project here. Now, if this was in somewhere in Kalutara or in Gampaha, it's not going to work out. But I'm sure this will going to take off. So everything's in your hands now too. So it's part of the CBD. Correct, yeah. So there's a lot of avenues and companies. I think listed companies are going to invest here. And there's a lot of infrastructure areas that can be benefit. So lots of companies will benefit out of this project going forward.
So you spoke about the product that you invested in, which local friends were saying, in the dirt, we're not going to get a fault because your gut feel was correct. Have you had experiences, so those are good experiences, do you have any more of those that you could relate to us, but also things where things haven't really gone your way?
So most of the time my gut feeling has worked. Alhamdulillah. Because the first time that I moved out from here, I made a decision to go to Singapore. And then I went into car business. I was one of the pioneers of used cars exporting from Singapore out of to Africa and Sri Lanka and all other countries, which at that time a lot of people were not doing it. That was by an accident that also happened by buying a car, and it became a business for me, understanding how the system works. And thereafter, as I said, we went into Malaysia, which at that time a lot of people are not doing. I was doing the opposite. From Singapore to Malaysia, from Malaysia to Singapore, there's 300,000 people cross the border on a daily basis to work. All right? It's a huge line coming into Singapore. And same way, in the evenings, they go back. So I was doing the opposite. I used to live in Singapore, and my office was in Johor. So I go straight to the immigration counter, give the passport, and I go. There's no traffic, and same way, opposite the other side. So I was always doing the opposite, right? So that was the second time. Even coming to Sri Lanka, I thought always, like, it's our country. Whatever we do, although like I had done big business there, we are not recognized that much. You can make the money, you can enjoy your life as a family, but if you want to give back something, you want to do, you have to come back here. So that's how I feel. So that's why I made a decision to come back in 2011, and I missed the bull run in 2009-10. We had just immediately the war was finished. We had a good run. I think over 150% the market went up. We had a lot of hope that time. But I missed it, and I was investing in Singapore at that time. So from 2011, I started building my portfolio. So market was not doing that great for that period just after the bull run. I think from 12 onwards, we didn't have a huge, big run. But when the COVID came, I had already built a good portfolio at that time. And the country was closed and markets opened. At that time, everyone had, businesses were closed at the country was closed for more than 3 months, or I would say 2.5 months. And everyone came into the stock market, like all the car dealers to all the PETA businesses. Most of the people had the cash and they came to the market, and we had a very big liquidity came into the market, and market just took off. Not only in Sri Lanka, it happened all over the world. It was the same situation. And markets from, I think, about 4,000 something, 2019, it went all the way up to about 13,500. So I was again, I would say lucky because I already built a portfolio for about almost 8 years, not seeing much return, but that gave me a big boost at that time. So that's why you have to be sometimes, we have to take that decision and be invested. If you can't be timing the market, like kind of a thing. So sometimes people say, stock has now gone high, now it's going to come down, we'll buy it at this level, or you're looking at 1 rupee difference and waiting. So if I decide to buy, I just continue, and I decide on a company. And for me, it's not buying, I won't say I'm buying shares. I buy pieces of businesses, right? I become a shareholder of a big business. That's how I look at it, because most of my investments are 5 years, 10 years, at least 10 years I've been like holding. And that has given me a good return. Rather than trading, of course, there's opportunity for traders, but you have to spend a lot of time looking at charts and different ways. But our market is still not matured enough, right? We don't have that liquidity enough. That's why lots of people make mistakes. They think they want to come to the stock market and want to see quick return. They want to buy something today, and 1 month's time, it has gone down 10-15%, then they feel, I can do my business is much better than the stock market. But people who have stayed in long term, like if you take like Mr. Warren Buffett, right? His story, if you see, like at 7 years, he started reading books. At the age of 11, he started investing. He had $140 personal cash, and he invested in shares through his father. Maybe at that time, I don't think you can invest at 11, right? So he invested that time. And since then, he bought a company. He thought this was cheap and bought. That was the Berkshire Hathaway. It's a textile company. Later, he found that business was not doing well, right? And even now he says he made a mistake in buying that company, but that's his main company today, right? But so he turned it around into an investment arm after that. So he gave up that business and became an investment company. And today he's one of the successful businessmen. At the age of 95, his partner was Charlie Munger. He just passed away a few months back. He was 99 years old when he passed away. So even at that age, 95 or 99, you are still, if you're alert and can be, this is a business that still you can do, right? So if he does a lot of reading and all those things. And his style of investment is just buying businesses, right? What he says, he buys businesses and it's for long term. And some of the businesses that he have bought are like 20, 30 years old and he's still not ready to sell. Like Coca-Cola, he's still holding, right? And he gets very good dividend over a period of time, and he's still not prepared to sell. And he was also at the, he didn't go into internet shares, right? But one of the shares that he went was Apple, he bought, and that became the biggest portfolio. 40% he was holding, but still now he's holding, but now started to cut down a bit, but still that's his biggest portfolio that he's having. So that's how you build wealth, right? So it's a long term, you'll have to understand about the company, you read about it, see how the management, are they good, the business model will stay for the next 10 years, 20 years, right? So like what he says, like if the market is closed even for, like our Sri Lankan market closed for 2-3 months, like how you buy a property, right? You buy a property and you don't look at the price on a daily basis, whether your price has gone up or down. So you're looking at 5 years time or 10 years, when you really want to sell, that's the time you're looking for a buyer. Otherwise, every day you're knocking at the neighbor's house and asking, are you selling or what's the price is going today? So you have to forget about the price and just believe if you're strong enough about the company that you have purchased, you stay at least for 2 years, 3 years, you try to stay in that company and make your money like 100 to 100%. I could have shown you graphs and everything, how I think there were some technical issues I can't show, where certain companies have gone up like, 1000% within last 4-5 years, right? Like 400, 500% companies have made. So like if you see I don't know if you have further follow-up questions, but I'll just expand on this. Certain companies, if you take the 1920, the total earnings in the stock market for these things were, I would say 150, 200, about 200 billion, that kind of a range. The crisis time, the 22, was the highest profits the listed companies made. 665 billion rupees net profits. So that was the crisis, because when the dollar went up, inflation went up, a lot of import restrictions, so a lot of local companies made good margins and profits. So that was this thing. Then after that, even with the IMF program, the tax going up from almost some companies from 0 to 30%, some were from 14, 24 going up to 30%. And interest rates were like single digits at 7-8%, which went up to 25 to 30% borrowing. Suddenly people got caught who had huge borrowing, had to face that for about 1.5 years. They were this thing. So even during those periods, and now we are coming out now the last 9 months. Actually, in 23, all the listed companies made 450 billion profits. Right? The 9 months of this year, we have matched that last year's profits of 450 billion rupees were made. So generally the last quarter, the December quarter, is the best quarter for the companies. So I feel this year we might go past the 660 billion mark, and that can be the best year. And this is with increased taxes, with VAT coming up. Electricity prices went up, salaries had to be increased. With all those expenses, companies are still doing good. So that means there are certain businesses, the listed companies is taking over. If you go to the normal retail market or the ground level, people complain, the businesses are bad, all those things. But the listed companies, that's why I'm telling, if you get into the listed sphere, there are a lot of avenues, your business can grow multiple times. Right? Sometimes we feel if you hold our shares, our company with 100%, keep it within the family, we are good in whatever ways, can make money. No, the listed companies are making much bigger, with all the compliance issues, everything, and doing it rightly, because they have a brand name. Right? You go even to China and you want to import, you will be recognized, because once you are in the listed, they can check your balance sheet, because others, most of the people won't have a good balance sheet to go and show them even.
Right. So you did touch upon lively about building a portfolio. I think people are hesitant to look into businesses which they are not aware of or comfortable with. People like to stay within their own comfort zone. What would advise you to give to be the way at say?
Yeah, so you don't need much education. You have to just put in little time, spend at least about 2 hours if you can just spend to read, right, about the companies. You go through the listed for me, out of the 280 odd companies, I invest in the whitelist. So for me, it's much easier. It's only about 115, 120 companies that I have to look at. But if you look at my portfolio, I have only about 10 shares in my portfolio, with about maybe another 3 or 4, non-voting shares. So as a company, it's about 10 to 12. So it's much easier, and to monitor those companies is much easier also. And I'm quite focused on that one, and just make sure that, so someone coming into market, I think some people say diversification and you go for 30, 40 shares. It's not easy, and you're not going to make big in that, right? You spread all your money in everything, and so if like one share is going to go up, right? So you would have made a small portion, like if you have 30 companies or 40 companies. But if you are good companies, if you select and you feel next 5 years these are going to do well, you can make the amount that you put in, it's going to multiply by that amount. Because otherwise, let's say your 1 million rupees, you divide by 25 or 30 companies, it's a small amount you're going to get. But of course, you can say if something goes wrong, but there are so many ways to check companies, whether they can go bad, those investments. There are a lot of red lights are shown, amber lights are shown much before. So once you are following those, you can quarterly results, earnings results are announced, right? Then the stock exchange put them, if there's a delay in submitting results even, that is put into a watch list, right? So if anything is going wrong, the auditors will come up with a qualified opinion. So there are many things that will be highlighted much earlier before that company can go wrong. So you have ample time to make sure when you understand. So I would say any businesses going wrong is very, chances are there definitely, but you have to monitor. If you strictly monitor it, in my case, I would say 90% of my investments are in stocks, right? And so you can say you put all your money in one basket, but I'm watching that basket very closely.
So you're saying do your research as well, like be very, say, as you say, monitor very closely, but then if the information is so much freely available, why choose to ignore it? When I was researching for today, I did see that in the tools that we use to be able to make those decisions are freely available. I mean, if one advice presents someone to be able to ask, I mean, information is there, but how do you access it and how would you use it?
Yeah, so information is one thing, data is available. If you want now, you can go to one ChatGPT or AI. Information is plenty available today. But how you are going to use that information is very important. Like even if you go to the CSE websites, all the results are there, the company annual reports are there, the chairman, CEO reports are there. You can read. There's plenty of things in between those things. But those are the things a lot of people don't take note of. In between the lines, you'll have to read. Even research reports, sometimes research firms, they spend a lot of time and money to get a report out. It can be a 10-pager or a 25 pages. Right? But most of the people, what they want to see is what's the target price. In 1 second, they go to the straight, where is the target price, and that's it, done. None of the other details are gone into, they don't read. So if they say share is going at 30 and target is going at 45, they are ready to just invest on that. But you'll have to understand that business, whether that target is for how long, right? And what are the details they are given, like if this happens, it can go, or if this doesn't happen, it won't go there. Or the journey can take longer sometimes, but you have to be prepared. But definitely it will get to that journey. It will get to those target prices or the value, but you have to have that patience and believe and stay. Markets are there, so you call it the Mr. Market, like, we can't go against the market. Market will always have pullbacks, it can go up, whatever, right? Now, for example, as I said, now the index is now 13,000 plus. If you take most of the international markets, now even US, last night it came down about 100 points, but it's at all-time high, all right? So all the markets are still at all-time highs now, most of the markets. Some have some pullbacks. Okay, India has pulled back about 10%, little bit because of China, because China came up with the stimulus package and a lot of money shifted to China from foreign funds. But otherwise, as I said in 2009, with hope, the market PE ratio went up to about almost 28 or 29 times. So you don't question at that time why our PE ratio is high. Today our PE ratio, we are at around 8.5 now. But with the new earnings which have come out, which is not, I don't think is updated, we are around 7.5 times only. So historically, for the last 10 years, if you see our market PE ratio is around 13 to 14 times, right? But even 28, 29, if it goes, there's nothing to question. You can break all resistance and go there. And people asking why at that time there's no time to ask, all right? Market will just go. If it's a bull run, it will go. Because if you have hope, if you think this country is going to do well, and next 10 years, foreign lot of investments are going to come. Now we are waiting for the rating upgrade to happen. So now the debt restructuring is done. The bond exchange is taking place. By 12th, that's going to be completed, right? We have been talking that for a long time. So that's almost done. Then the rating agencies, now that also I think some indications are given. Today's Moody's. So about 3 notches going to go up on certain financial instruments. So if the country ratings also have a positive rating, which will happen immediately once the budget is presented, so foreigners are going to come into the market, right? Now currently our foreign investors are only about 10%. They are, at one time they were about 40-45%. So that means that amount of scope is there for foreign money to come into this market, right? So then the diaspora, right? Now they will start believing if the country is doing well, the government is doing well. Our people who have gone out have made huge amount of money, all right? Now you see the foreign, even the workers who are sending money is about $7 billion, which is over 2 trillion. We are getting monies coming into the system. All right. Likewise, now the systems are going to change. All right. Digitalization is going to take place. All right. So with that, even the gray market, which is a huge amount in our businesses, I think in our country, which is not even captured in the GDP. All right. So if those kinds of businesses are going to also fall in line, so I would say there's so much of scope. So as I said, they want the diaspora. If you want just 2 or 3 investors think of bringing $1, $2, $3 billion, that amount of money people have earned, they can easily come into the country and start. So that itself is more than enough, because our market cap is about 5 trillion now, which is only about 16, 17 billion dollars. So if you take the international markets, we are peanuts, nothing, right? If you take the let's say for America, just to see, get an understanding. The NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange put together is about $55 trillion, right, in trillions. And their turnover is like about $100 billion a day. Our market cap is only 16 billion. Their turnover is 100 billion. Like, okay, take India, it's about 5 trillion. So, and if you take India, about 10 years ago, they're not that big. So once they hit a certain trillion, I think the last trillion from 4 to 5, they got it in six months. So once you come to a certain level, then it's like, it's a takeoff, like, it just keeps going.
So we need to have confidence in our own country and hope that, and then introduce sense of hope. I think there was discussion, I would say, last week where, certain groups were saying government is going to fail. So one thing he said was, well, we're all on this ship together, right? If you hope for your president and your government to fail, you are putting more in the ship that you're rated in the right? So I mean, if you want to drown, then yeah, go ahead and do that. But right now, we all have to look for a better future for us and then hope for. And as you said 10 years ago, so many other countries were in different positions, right? So we have hopefully a more hopeful future.
So it's another different asset class. A lot of youngsters have gone into that. It's the future, I think. So crypto now, lots of people had a lot of beliefs. Like, if you take Bitcoin, I know people were saying it will go to 100,000, it will go to $1 million, and they had that belief, right? Even the Bitcoin went to 60 plus, and then came down all the way down to about 17. But still they said, no, it's going to go 100 and 1 million. And we are on the verge of hitting almost 100,000 now. It's 95, 96,000, if I'm right? So you never know even it will go to $1 million, as they say it has now from, I don't know, from it started at $1, I don't know, and now it has come up to almost 100,000. So there are, they say certain Bitcoins, I mean, certain currencies are limited, I mean, like for Bitcoin, but there are so many other, thousands of other cryptocurrencies that come to the market. So that's also flooding, but there are certain regulatory issues also there in certain countries, whether they are allowed or not is also there. But I think, even some of the countries are coming with their own currencies also. So they also will come. It will have everyone has the share, so it's not only, we are talking about shares. Gold has almost hit this thing. So if you take the market cap of cryptocurrencies is about $3 to $4 trillion, right? If you take the stock market, it's about $120 trillion is the world global market. So it's not, if you take a company in New York, in US, if you take Apple, it's about $3.5 billion. So which is one company equal to the whole crypto market, right? So if you take the companies that are the 7 magnificent company, they say now, Amazon, Alphabet, then you have the Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, and Nvidia. Those 7 to put together is about $17-18 trillion is the market cap. So which is about almost 60% of the NASDAQ. Right? So that's the kind of a level that they have gone to. So that's how companies have grown. So for shares, there's an underlying asset, there's something. There's a business and you can see it, there's transparency. But like in Bitcoin, you don't know who are the owners or whether, what kind of this thing is all on the internet. Sometimes I heard story, yesterday I was reading something where the ex-wife had thrown the suitcase or something on the hardware and, lost 460 million pounds or something. They had about 8,000 Bitcoins saved inside that and lost it.
And to that or crypto, I was in Dubai 2 days ago for a meeting at the Vidomir Investment Support City. So one of them said that can be paid crypto. So what I thought was they said it Dubai SMP, a land a developer. So this the payment 80-some million dollars at all crypto. So I said in our country there are regulations for that. But also one question is like if Trump coming to power, I think maybe not last, I think crypto will be more serious now. That's what I think. So just want to be in on that as well.
I think what you were saying was Trump and Elon Musk being the buddies that they are, it's probably be a more viable option now, become probably allowed to become more popular. And what are your thoughts on that? Is that the question that you had? Somewhat. Oh, okay. It was a statement. Okay, fine. Good. All right. Do we have any more questions from the audience? I mean, I would just say, stemming from that, we've had changes globally over the last few months, right? Different governments coming in and different, did people think Trump would come back in? It was 50-50, right? And then obviously with the Labour government coming in, Tory government, there's a lot of perception that all these events have an effect on our markets? And is that true?
I don't think so. Our market, local market, is that much dependent on the global markets. I, of course, just follow to keep a knowledge this thing. But now lots of markets in the Asian markets, if you take the Hong Kong, Singapore, or Japan, other markets, what happens tonight is mirrored there in those markets the following day. But in our markets, it's not that much. We are not matured to that levels, and not that amount of foreign investments are here. So yeah, so like Trump coming, some people betted on that. I don't know, even Warren Buffett has a cash chest of about $350 billion he's keeping cash, right? So I don't know whether he also thought maybe Kamala Harris is going to win and took the money out. So now maybe the markets have gone up. So now Elon Musk really, helped him by tweets and giving cash and all those things. And his investments and the value just went up after the elections. Now today he has become the richest person with about 350 billion worth. So there's a lot of hope for Tesla and all whatever that is doing, the SpaceX and other things that is, and things going to even start the phone also. Might give another competition to Apple.
In so many different pots, so we're not really sure what he's going to come up with next. But how do you compare our market to matured markets? And then like how, people, as we keep saying, we're a small market, we're a closed market, but what is the future for us?
Yeah, so as I said, now our FDIs have been low. Like now we have been not doing about less than $1 billion, $700-800 million averaged, and think. So there's a lot of scope in that area now, right? With IMF program completing, a lot of focus will come back into Sri Lanka. Foreign investments will come. FTAs are going to be signed. So that's now with Trump coming in, the certain businesses, certain countries are going to be taxed, like China, Mexico, Canada, all those countries. Additional taxes are going to come because they are going to dump a lot of things they've been dumping in America, so now he wants to put additional taxes to them. So maybe Sri Lanka can benefit out of those kind of situations, like, even, we can, countries like China can come and open factories here and route it, that can be one, or through trade agreements that there also can happen. Likewise, I feel since our country has not taken off to the potential of like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, all of those countries, how Vietnam, we're not done, we are going to take off with this port city plus all the other thing. We have a lot of potential, and this time the sentiments have changed with the elections, right? Now, earlier also the same thing was happening under President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Same thing is continued, but the people look at it now in a different way. They don't mind even giving more time to sacrifice, all that is happening. So I think they will do the right thing, especially on corruption. That's the most important thing. If you can tackle the corruption, a lot of investments can flow into our country, because because of corruption, a lot of investments didn't come, and they all went back. So that will open up, I feel. So that itself can be a few $1 billion worth of investments can start coming in.
I think the government's commitment to, or perceived commitment to tackling corruption is a huge investment initiative, because a lot of investors see what's the point of investing their money here when, one, they don't know where the money is going into. Companies are not allowed to work, or ease of doing business is not there, right? So the Colombo Stock Exchange is driving for more listings into the market. And what is your advice to a private company to look at these listing options?
As I said earlier, there are a lot of advantages to come to be listed. Of course, earlier, they had a tax concession, but that was taken off with the IMF, this thing coming in, that has been removed. But other than that, the branding, right? Or you can take family succession plan, right? For businesses to change hands, like that is an easy route if you, this thing. then you bring in independent, like, governance and board members, all that. So that itself brings in a lot of the perception about the company is looked at in a different way. So once you are listed, there's so many people come to know about that company. So your marketability of a brand or anything becomes, they also will be part and parcel of that. So that's a good thing. So I think a lot of business people I can see who have big businesses, they shouldn't be frightened about like compliance issue. Compliance is something good, because if you don't have that compliance, lots of issues are there. Like, we might be sometimes leakages, like, but all that will be highlighted. We have good accountants will be there. Then, at this moment you might not have good accountants because it's a family, we'll be taking it easy. But if you go into that sphere, like, definitely you'll have to increase this. So I see another big IPO going to be there. One of the IPO which was held up, I think LTL is also might come on board soon. We need big investments to come to the market. That has been lacking for a long time, because we are talking of like 280 plus companies for the last 15, 20 years, right? It's 10 companies going out, 10 companies coming in. So we are just around the same numbers. We are not grown like, to 300, 400, 500 levels. So hopefully things can change and move forward. So that's why there's a lot of potential. Our base is very low. Right? And everywhere you look at it, the base is very low, so everything can improve. So there's a lot of opportunity especially for people to even to make money. Today, if you take the interest rates, right? The bank interest rates are now dropped to about 7-8% fixed deposits, right? And plus you have to pay your taxes on that. So you might be ending up with 5 or 6% only. But in stock market, if you properly invest, even your dividend can bring in that amount straight away. Then on top of that, whatever is the capital gains. And this is the only investment at the moment is tax-free. So 100% tax-free. Like, whatever business or in professional you are there, you have to pay at least 30% tax. So I don't know for how long, but this is going to be there. At the moment, you have to make use of it.
Sorry. So, there's a good point. Even if you see around the room here, but overall in Sri Lanka, a lot of our big businesses are family-owned and multi-generational family-owned. So I think there is a hesitancy there to go into the stock market. It is like the deep blue sea that no one wants to kind of explore. So I think that's something that I think some businesses should really look into. I think we also had quite a chat about that as well, how to expand your business or how to bring in. It's not even that; it's bringing in other expertise into your business, right? And not having the fear of change. What are some of the positive and negative factors you see that may affect the market going forward?
Okay. Locally, if
we won't quote you on this, but it's just for general advice.
If they derail from this IMF program and make major changes, then that can affect the market. But at this moment, I don't see, because most of the difficult areas are already done. So I'm sure, if they want to do, they would have done straight away before the general election. They would have said, we want to change this and done it, we want to get the votes. But now they have gone through, that means they are committed, right? And they know there's no other second option for us, right? And if you want to do well, we have to get the credit ratings, foreign investments has to come, that sentiment and the foreign. So I'm sure they will do a good job, because they are all new but educated, right? They're not corrupted. That's the main thing. So sometimes we say people who are experienced, but the experienced also have not done a good job, right? So hopefully we'll give a chance. So that's one area I'm looking here, anything to go wrong in that sense. Internationally, I don't know. I'm worried about the US debt situation. Right, they're having about 35 trillion, their debts have gone up, it's about more than 120% debt to GDP, like we were around that 10, now we have come down to below 100, but they are in that situation already, and they are paying over 1.5 trillion as the interest. So that's one area. I think Trump and Elon Musk also have been put into an area to bring down the expenses and cut down. So that's where they'll have to. So next 2 years, I don't see a problem. But if they keep continuing, right, their budget, they never had a surplus for the last 25 years. So they are increasing the debts and going. So that's one big area that can happen, not now, but had to be watchful of something on that. That's a bigger problem.
Would you prefer, in the current market situation, some big ticket IPOs coming into it or several smaller players to boost market dynamics?
We need both, the big and the small, because there are a lot of small timers who are finding sometimes difficult to get borrowings or whatever. So this is one option to come to the market where they have get access, easy access for funding, and it's like zero cost. So also we'll have to understand a company coming in, generally, now if you want to be a shareholder for, let's say, Brandix or Mars or something like that, it's not easy, we can't, all right? If whatever price we pay even, we can't go into these things. But once they come in, we're also getting that honor, like to be a part of those companies and to get a small stake. And when they come, and they also won't price it just right to the market, because these companies are built up over 20, 30, 40 years, right? And they will want a reasonable price, not overpriced, but a reasonable price to let go something. And most of these listings are not that they take money for the directors. These are new shares are issued. So that means this money goes for further expansion of the business, right? So that means the business is going to grow, get better and bigger. So initially you might see sometimes the IPOs coming can be like overpriced, but we are getting an opportunity at least for those companies to come in first. And thereafter they will grow much bigger. If you see companies like the 7 companies I mentioned, right, our PE ratio now 7-8 times we are talking. These companies are like 60, 70, 80 times PE ratios. And our market price to book value is just exactly one, right? But some of these companies are going at 60, 70 times, right? Like, like Tesla's and all, like, Apple is about 60 times price to book value. So there are different ways of calculating. It's not one way of price to book value and PE ratio, right? You have to look at the future growth. Some are light asset models are there, like Airbnb, they don't have like assets, like Uber, right? In those kinds of businesses, it's difficult to value. Like sometimes you'll have to give a much high price to, that's how their business model is. So that's how it works.
Previously, there was state-funded participation in the stock market, and now in Sri Lanka. And how do you think the market can be better structured to have increased state fund participation?
Yeah, so we have a state fund of EPF and ETF together about 5 trillion. Out of that, in the market, they are just less than 100 billion they had invested, and this was long time ago, like, more than 10 years, actually they have not been in the market. So what they bought, like, long time ago, I've been still holding, and they are not repositioned their portfolio or anything, just keeping it, because with political issues coming about, earlier manipulations and that kind of dumping and all that. So they have been not having a free hand. So what they have to do is get a good management. So you can't be forever be out of the market. Market is giving good returns, and they are complaining that the fund EPF holders are not getting a good return. So this is one place. If you see any other funds, at least 30-40% of the fund is invested in the equity market, and the balance only in fixed these things like in bonds or this. So like going forward, even the bond market, now currently bond market is quite big in Sri Lanka also. If you see on a weekly basis, at least about 150 billion is subscribed. I mean, it's wanted, but subscribed at least 2 times more than that. So that amount of money is available in the market. But our turnover in the equity market is just 2-3 billion a day. So that means 10-15 billion a week. But in the bond market, you get about 300-400 billion money coming in, right? So So that's one area. But going on the long term, once this debt restructuring and everything is done, the requirement for bonds might come down, like especially like the interest rates like coming down, interest commitment coming down, like state enterprises going at losses, making profits now. So you don't need those money like at one time they were losing like 700-800 billion and getting money from the treasury. So at least 3-4 major ones like Sri Lankan Airlines, Electricity Board, the petroleum, all that. So now those have become profitable. Now they can give money back to the government. So it's like a switch off over like 1 trillion now. So then the requirement for bond market also will come down going forward. Then there won't be like EPF funds will have to come into the equity market. So when they come, that's why the market will get pushed up again. I mean, not only the EPF, ETF, I'm saying many funds are out will be investing, like the foreigners will come in at one point. As I said, diaspora can come, private funds to all these we are running this market without all this at this moment. And still we are having now we are having about 6-7 billion kind of a turnover as levels have come. So just imagine once the rating is done and the foreigners really can come and invest, right? At this moment there are some foreigners are coming. Those are not big institutions. I mean, they can't come and invest in a country like that with a default rating. So once they are open, money can flow in, and that's the time the market is going to again take off to another level.
So the potential is really quite large, right? That's happening.
Yeah. So when I said the market is now around 7 to 8 times PE, our average we have gone up to 13, 14. That means easily it can double to go to the normal average. But as I said, sometimes it can go even beyond that, like the time we went in 2009. So let's say if it goes to 25 or 29 times, market can be even 50,000, the ASPI.
People be
So I'm just saying it's not going to happen immediately. It can take even 2 years, 5 years time, but there's nothing to question. I'm prepared for that. But a lot of people, every 1,000 points, they're going to ask a lot of questions. Ask, why is the market going up? Why is the market going up? Because we know market has so much room to go up. It has not gone there. So for me, there's no question of why. For me, why it's not going up there. But others outside who are looking at it, they'll think every day market is going up, it's going to crash any moment. It's going to crash any moment. So there are some different criteria there. There are different types of boards in the stock exchange. There's a main board, secondary board, like there is a board. So even if I'm not mistaken, 20 million or 50 million, I think even 20 million, there is a small SME board with 20 to 50 million, I think if I'm not mistaken, also can be listed today. And for those kinds of companies, I think even a 10% listing is also possible. But if you're in the main board, you have to have minimum 20% float, public float has to be there. You have to sell 20% and you can hold maximum of 80. Other than that, earlier they used to have 3 years continuous profits and all those things were there, but I think the smaller boards, I think they're taken off some of the criteria. It's much easier, I think, if you go and get the details, it's not that difficult when a small company can be listed now.
Do you have any idea of the 22 million people, how many are in the stock market as shareholders or not shareholders?
Investors.
And I'm sure they are all probably Western province or Colombo district based. Do you see the potential of this being taken outside Colombo and having a bigger, if the market has to grow and all these things have to happen? The government also is saying the economy has to be not Western province centric. So very clearly there are things that are going to happen outside Colombo, outside the Western province. Is there a way that this can be mirrored, and do you think there is potential for the stock market to go outside?
Yeah, of course. So there are registered investors with about 700 to 800,000 investors that can be with multiple accounts. But active investors, let's say at least once a month, one trade a month, who are trading is about, I think, about close to 70, 80,000, or much less, about 30,000 if I'm mistaken. And much regular traders are about 15,000, I think. Those are the ballpark numbers. But there are, CAC has a lot of programs. They take it to a lot of outstation and they educate. And there are seminars and programs. And now in schools also in the curriculum, it's going to come about stock market. So that is happening at the moment. But it's a long way to go. There's so much of scope for people. Actually, our financial literacy is very low. People don't understand about investment. Still, a lot of people are scared about stock market. What is this investment? Right? They are still used to only a fixed deposit. They know to just go put the money in fixed deposit and wait for 1 year, take the interest, and you don't see it with the inflation where they are getting the right numbers or nothing. So that's how people are just used to the easy way. Or the other easiest way that they go is just trust someone and give 5 million, 10 million, 100 million and say he's doing well, and then come to know it's a fraud and he has cheated 4-5 billion and that's it. So people are ready to take that amount of risk. But in stock market, I have not seen a company like going down in the past 5 years. I don't see a company that went bankrupt, right? So there are, for certain reasons, maybe some companies are put into watch list. That's because for the last quarter, they are not submitted the financials, or the annual report is not this thing. Or sometimes there can be certain queries on the accounts and the auditors have queried about it, on those asking for reasons that they have holding it back. But other than that, I don't see like companies just have like gone bankrupt and lost 100% of your investment, right, in stock market. You can use people. What here is like you lost 10%, 30%, 40% with a crash. On sometimes you have 10 shares, and out of the 10, maybe 2 or 3 shares have gone down 20-30%. But they don't talk about the other 6-7 where you made profit. Or you would have made profit in the same company, right? You are averaging it and you're buying and going on, and at some point you buy and that price has come down. So, but you forget the same share you have bought and sold so many times and made profit on that one. You talk about the last purchase, what you bought and sold, and talking about the bad story on that side of it. So those are the stories that you hear about the bad side of the stock market, that I lost money. And sometimes markets, 6 months, it can be a bad downturn, right? So then you'll have to have that patience to wait during that time. Or if it's a really a good company, you can average it down, right? Or otherwise you cut it off. If you have good principles, like, at 7, 8, 10%, you must cut off a bad stock and come out of it at the right time. Not allow losses to continue till 30, 40% and hold. So most of the people, they make mistakes is, they hold on to a losing stock until 30, 40% and keep it in the portfolio and wait and until it comes back to square one and see another 5% return and then want to sell there. And the opposite, where another share which is going up and already started moving 10%, 20%, and you're ready to quickly sell that off. And then you realize after you sold, that share has gone up 60, 70, 80%. So your theory should be, if you are a good company is going up, you hold it and sell small portions. So let's say you start selling 5% of when it's moving up, then sell another 5 or 10% at another higher level, and slowly average it up going upwards. And you don't try to sell a good company quickly, right? But most of the time what they do is, as soon as they see a 2% or 5% or 10%, they want to quickly come out of that stock. And they allow the losses to continue, and they don't mind waiting on that for years and years even.
Hi. So, regard to everything about stock market, so I think what each 110 is we get to this directly opinion on this. I think education on this topic is on smacking. You know, a lot of areas because see, as you would speak to their money FTAs, they know what they're getting. So now they're the money market accounts as well. So they know you're making this much in a percentage and you can be brought time. So personally, I invested in one IPO that got angels that I don't mind people also got them because I didn't touch the after that. And also the common perception is that if you have money, we with the Zakhan. So I think a good purpose is that people do not know what their exact dynamic is which drives the stock up or down. So you can see a coffee community, how much they, how often they carry leaders, speculation and other factors. The people do not know why exactly the mechanism is. So, and also add to the fact that the market has been down for a while. So because of that macro knowledge, I think that spot where people have a perception that it's always a risk to put your portfolio inside a stock.
So always you have to get a good advice from a good investment advisor from a good stock brokering. That's number one. And not only depend only on that advice, you will have to do your own analysis, do your own research, and make sure that advice is correct, and you make the final decision, and you have to monitor that, and also do the as like what you said, the earnings will have to be looked at, whether the management is good, the product is good, the company has been there for a long time, right? Whether they have good prospects to go forward. There are some companies they are very old. Sometimes they're very old management. You know, the ways of thinking is like, you know, they want to just hold on to the building and machinery and just hold on, you know, just keeping the listing and nothing much happens in those companies. But there are certain companies, maybe the younger generation have come and taking it to another level, or there are companies with good professional managers they have hired, good CEOs, and they drive those companies.
Right. So in your opinion, to a layer was like August, if you would just in Excel or do sentences, take it what determines the price of stock that both we use. So like that's what people actually they might want to know when they don't want to, they ask that question.
So one is the PE ratio, like that's the earnings ratio, like there's a other one if you want to look at dividends. Dividend counter means that's dividend this thing, but basically price to book and earnings is the two main things that they look at, but that's not the only thing. So that's the main one of those things. But again, just because the PE ratio is low, it doesn't mean that share is cheap also, right? That's because in different sectors are there. So different sectors have different PE ratios. Some can be even valued at even 15, 20, 30 times, right? Like even like companies like Pick Me and all they have come in now, but they are like, those companies are like looked at in a different way. Like internet companies will be looked at in a different way. But there are certain other sectors which will be have cyclical, like, you know, one quarter will do bad, another quarter they'll come, right? But overall average, they'll do a average kind of a business. So that you'll have to understand. So in one quarter, the prices can come down when they give a bad reporting. So that's why I'm telling, when you come for investing, it should take a long horizon and at least 2-3 year period. And if you are someone investing for 2-3 years or 5 years, I don't think so anyone would have lost money in this thing. But coming for 3 months, yes, you can say that I lost money in there.
You took one of my wrap-up questions, so thanks. Have any other questions? Because we will be wrapping up soon. So anyone else has any other questions? For participation in the markets, how is women's participation? What are the barriers to that entry that can do more women should be involved?
It's a good question. Like we had not done any analysis on that, but there's a lot of scope. I think this is one area for women to take part in a bigger way, because most of the men are quite busy with their own. They have their own businesses, and they manage, and they don't have time. So they will just give the funds to a fund manager or to a broker and say, okay, look after this thing, and once in a way they'll look at their portfolio. But the women folks can have a lot of time if they're not working, if they have some little accounting knowledge, understand about it, go for a small course and understand. You can do your homework, and plus you can be a good investor. Right, because you can advise get the money from husbands or father and, manage their portfolio. So that's the area I think we should promote. Even Sri Lanka also, I think that's one area we should look at for them to come in. And there's a lot of scope, I think, which is not utilized properly.
I think Sajid asked you about advice, but two in your 5 minutes. So three, I would say that's a two-part question. One would be, what are the three, you've already answered this, what are the three parameters that you would look into before investing, for considering an investment? And second part would be, what's three pieces of advice to either investor, potential investor, before entering an investment?
So basically, I will look at a company, I'll study, I'll take time before we go into a new investment. We'll watch that company for a while, go through all the financials, read all the annual reports, the chairman's reports or CEO reports, and check their market trends, whether they are performing well, the potential is there in those kind of companies to grow. So these metrics will have to be gone through and passed, first. And then look at the valuations and see whether the prices are right for that company at this moment, or whether it's as I said, if it's a cyclical kind of a time, like we might have to wait for a while to buy those at different times. Always you say buy low and sell high, right? So when the markets are bad, when people are worried, and if you feel like the market is now gone high or something, so, or the other way around, when the markets are down, that's the time you should jump in and without asking too many questions to get into the market. But most of the time what happens is, when you give advice to buy at that time, they say, no, we'll wait, it will go down further, let's wait, and nothing happens. And when it's gone up, and when everyone is talking at the cocktails and weddings and parties, and that's the time they say, market is doing well, no, I can see in the headlines, market is doing well, can I come and meet you, can we invest? So that's the wrong thing that people do that mistake. So, yeah, so to buy a company, we'll look at all these P ratios, price to book value, dividend yields, there are different metrics are there. We'll have to go into that and check. The advice I would say is start early, put in a certain amount, and do your own research, spend a little time. And from my experience, it can take time. So it's, as I said now, when I came and invested in 2012, it took me almost 8 years to make a decent amount of profit. Not that time, when it came, I would say even more than 500% would have gone up in that period. So that's a cycle, that's the time that we'll have to give and wait for it. So if you know that potential, now even I know certain of my companies which I'm holding, it can go up another 100, 200%. So I'm waiting for that. If it goes another 30% tomorrow, I'm not ready to sell. So, but a lot of people will do the opposite. So that's why we'll have to get trained into that, and you have to control your emotions, and you have to be disciplined, and not overtrade, and try to keep it under control in a nice way. If you do it, you will enjoy and you can make money.
Thank you so much, Imtiaz. I think we can sort of key takeaways is obviously do your research and be patient, right? But thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you for your questions. You've been an amazing audience, and thank you for sharing your stories and your advice and your wisdom. I think each other, there's a round up here.
So thank you, Ameena. You've been a wonderful moderator, asking the right questions. So I hope people would have taken my advice and will start and, will benefit out of this session today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, how was the session? Thank you very much. Amazing. So let's give them another good round of applause. Amazing. What an inspiring and a thought-provoking conversation that we just enjoyed. Insights like these remind us of boundless opportunities that lie ahead when we blend global perspectives with local trends. Once again, thank you so much, our speaker, Mr. Imtiaz Buhardeen, and today's wonderful moderator, Ms Ameena Ziauddin. Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and expertise with us. Thank you. As we near the conclusion of this remarkable evening, it's a time to acknowledge and express gratitude to everyone who made this event a success. To deliver the word of thanks, I'm honored to invite Mr. Rizvi Abdul Majid, a respected chartered accountant by profession, Managing Director of East Coast Investment. Please welcome Mr. Rizvi Abdul Majid.
What a wonderful 2 hours that we had, I think, sharing knowledge. As our Dr. Harun Kader said initially, we have 4 pillars under the myBIZ. One is the knowledge sharing. So this particular thing is organized by under that one. And then we wanted to have the best topic for the time and in the best place, and also to deliver to the best audience that you all are. I think we have done that right. I think we have justified that. We had in the best place, Port City. There were a lot of take-home today from both the presentation and also the Fireside Chat. I'll just highlight few of those. I think the Port City, I think Tasim Rafi's presentations made it very clear what it brings to Sri Lankan economy. I think most of us were not aware of it. I think that's give us now, it's not a project of somebody else, it's our project. It's going to bring so much into Sri Lankan economy. And also, he said it's a 40-year tax-free. Knowing a little bit of the business, I think 40-year tax-free, I think wonderful. And then it goes to another 50% tax further. But 20 years. And also, just to add on, I think, he also said, I think, the world-class infrastructure that is already ready. I think this is the most challenging job on any project. I think with little bit of knowledge in Maldives, back in Maldives, I think when we develop a resource, the bigger investment goes for the infrastructure development. I think here it is done. You just come, plug and play. Get your factories, get your investments, office or whatever it is, you just plug and play. So, and also, going back to the Fireside Chat, I think on the share market, I think there was so much to take home. I think if I say Imtiaz Buhardeen made justice by sharing his wealth. Yeah, did you all hear right? Shared his wealth of knowledge that is gained in the market for decades. So there was so much of take home on that, but just to highlight a few of those. He said when he started, it was a market of 20 million. Today we are doing 4 billion, average 3 to 4 billion daily. So where it can go, you all can just make your point. So he said he started 10, 15, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And then also he said all the factors had the right direction. It's a positive, everything is happening positive, not only in Sri Lanka, world over. So where it can help the market. So he said where we are compared to India, where we are compared to America. So what does it tell you all as the audience and who is going to invest? The opportunities there. There are so much of opportunities to invest in the market. Next one is the, Ameena made the question, I think, because Imtiaz said it's a best advice that he can give is long-term and patient. And then Ameena fired the question, say, the current generation want fast returns. I think even that is there in the market, if you take the risk. I think if you are ready to take the risk, I think you can. I think the Bitcoin, somebody made the question, I think the right question to ask. I think if you can take the Bitcoin and bid and value that to that, where there is no fundamental, there are so many companies with fundamentals. So if you want to take the risk of earning short term, yes, Ameena, there are shares. And the other one, other take home, I think on this one is the tax-free thing, which he said, I think Port City, I said 20 years, I'm sorry if I said 40, 20 years. And the investment in the share market is tax-free, I think for the last couple of years. I think there is a senior commissioner here from the IRD, I'm sure he should watch. I think even the tax on the dividend, 15% tax withheld, is the final tax. So for example, now we are paying almost 30 different slabs of individual taxes, starting from 8, going up to 36%. So 6 and going up to 36. So, but on the dividend, you pay only 15%, which is the final tax. So that benefit is there only in the share market, no any other investment that you can do. But you all don't have to feel guilty that I'm not paying tax, because when you have a due transaction, there's a commission of 1.125, which include a percentage of stamp duty and taxes. So you are due paying taxes, that's it, nothing else. So that's the other point that was is compared, I think the Imtiaz Buhardeen compared with the liquidity that is in the fixed market. He said how much on a daily basis the central bank bidding. I'm sure that is just because for the time being, since there is a stability everybody is expecting, I think, which is now in the market, so it should going to come back to the share market. So just imagine those monies coming back into the share market where they can go. And also one more point I wanted to add on is the security that is on the share market that you are investing. The CDS account that you are opening with the government entity, Central Depository System. So it is fully secured and it's following so many regulations. The stock brokering that you are assigning to manage that CDS is only a stock manager. He is not owning that stock. He is not owning that CDS account. That is yours. Without your instruction, nothing can happen. That is the security that I can give investing in the share market, because always, I think there was a question to that extent, I think the knowledge and how secured it is. That's why I want to assure you all it is fully secured. The CDS account is with the government, nothing else. So I think those are the things I wanted to highlight, and then won't come back to thanks. I think first of all, I would like to thank Tasim Rafi and the Port City team for the wonderful presentation, which has opened our eyes and shown what it is and what is there in it. And also, just to connect, I think Imtiaz Buhardeen said, if you invest certain amount of money today, what will be that money in 25 years? So you can ask Tasim Rafi, what is the villa cost now? So you all can reverse calculation how much you all should invest on the market now to buy the villas. So I think that's a good thing. You all can do a reverse calculation, see how much you should invest on the market now, and ensure you have a 10% growth so that you secure a villa in the Port City. Okay. So thank you very much for the Tasim Rafi and Imran and the Port City, the entire team, for the wonderful arrangement that you all made. And this is just a beginning that we are going to do more and more with you all, definitely. And again, I would like to thank Almas Chairman, Imtiaz Buhardeen, for a wonderful time that you spend and the sharing your wealth of knowledge with the audience and the myBIZ members and the guests. I think if you want to get that knowledge, I think on the share market, you all know what you all should do. You all should put your money and learn the hard way. So he has shared the hard way, earn knowledge and experience. And Ameena, thank you very much for a wonderful moderation of the event. And also, I think you made as much as practical and bring it back to the audience. I'm sure you made a lot of questions which most of the audience wanted to ask. That's the reason maybe the questions are less from the audience. So thank you very much for being part of being the moderator of the session. And also, I would like to thank all our sponsors. I think without the sponsors, an event of this nature is not possible. So all 4 sponsors and also the Port City for their supports. We will thank on behalf from the myBIZ Exco and also myConnect leadership. I would like to thank all of you all for that. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you all. I think without you all being present here and being an audience of this nature, with this participation at this time, I think it's wonderful. So thank you very much for being here. As I said earlier, I think the myBIZ used to do this very often. We have done on tax, we have done on risk and insurance. This is the share market. We will be doing more sessions of this nature. I think you all be in touch with the myBIZ Secretariat to get those knowledge and participate. And also I would like to thank the myBIZ Secretariat headed by Hamza and his team and Mafaz and his team for the wonderful arrangement that they have done. And also finally, I would like to thank all the service providers, who has made this event a wonderful event. And thank you very much. And wassalamu alaikum. And also, I think those who all want to pray quickly, there is certain arrangement done here. Then those who all want to do some network, I think some more tea and coffees are there also. And some of you all I saw, I think 2 people mentioned to me they were fasting today. So if you all not broke your fast, please come over and break it and enjoy with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As we come to the close of today's insightful, engaging event, I would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to each one of you present here. Thank you very much. On behalf of the entire team, I now declare the meeting is officially closed. Thank you once again. Take care. Drive safe. Signing off, Zamrain Zaruk.